Welcome to the Steve Wilmot Show. The Chamonix Redskins head coach Steve Wilmot. I'm Sean Lerman. This week's show brought to you by Aria Health and Faulkner Auto Group. The Chamonix coming off of another big win, still undefeated on the season at 5-0 with a 62-28 win on Friday night over Truman at Truman High School. Coach, 62 points. That's the highest mark yet this year. 5 touchdown passes for Mason Jones. The offense looked great.
Yeah, I mean, we were able to take advantage of some things. Mason had a good game. He really threaded some needles on some of those passes. Some really exceptional passes. That one to Corey Joyce. I mean, he really kind of threaded the needle there. And Will ran hard as usual, and then we gave Mike Crescenzo his backup a little bit of running, a little bit of playing time, I guess I should say, and he ran well too and scored a touchdown. He seems like he's got a little knack of finding the end zone. He knows where that end zone is because he really tries to bang it in there a lot. But yeah, we were able to do some stuff on offense, and that was the plan going into the year. Kind of open up our offense a little bit and try to score some points.
Yeah, and you mentioned Will Dogbud, close to 200 rushing yards in the game, 3 more touchdowns for him, and he always gives credit to the offensive line, but he's been pretty special this season.
Yeah, yes, he's running hard, and I've said it to a couple different media outlets. He's got a heart of gold. I do want to say, as far as the offensive line goes, we gave our Player of the Week. Every game we have to name a Player of the Week for Max Preps. I gave it to our offensive lineman AJ Sanko because he's been holding down that line all year. I think he got 1- for the game. We go ahead and we grade the kids. So he's just playing at a real high level. And we talk about this week in and week out that sometimes you just can't zoom in on an offensive lineman. Yeah, if it's some behemoth guy, then you see him wrecking people. But, AJ is just someone who's just going to use his technique and be perfect and communicate on the inside and just be very, very productive. But we had a lot of people step up to do a lot of different things this game.
Before the season, we were talking about the offensive line a little bit, with 3 players coming back, getting 2 new guys into the fold on the offensive line. So how's it been acclimating those 2 new guys on the line?
Good. Nick Napadana, one of our juniors, he was out for a couple weeks. He returned this game, and he was very, very productive for us this game. Actually, we've gotten 3 people new because Eddie Perry was out this past week. He'll be back this week. He's got the all clear from the doctor. And Gio, the other junior coming into the year, he's got a lot of potential, and we're still trying to make him perfect because that's what we try to do to offensive linemen. We just try to make them perfect, but perfect in the sense that they're productive every play for what we're trying to do. So. It's coming along, but it's always a work in progress.
On the other side of the ball, we'll talk about Gio a little bit. He certainly played well on the defensive line as well. We've seen him making a couple of tackles here and there in every game, filling spaces.
Yeah, I mean, Gio, the defensive line has a job, and that's, on certain plays just to get knocked back on the offensive line. Some plays it's just to make sure they're in the right gap when we're playing a gap-oriented defense. And the defensive line, the 2 inside guys that we had this week. Gio played a little bit, but we have Chauncey Crate and then Kyle Osterhout kind of moved inside. So we have pieces of the puzzle on the defensive line. Then we gave a sophomore and a junior a shot at defensive end this week. The more experience that they get on the defensive line, I think the better they're going to become. So we're just trying to just get better every week. I keep saying it, but I really mean it. We're just trying to get better every single week.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's talk about that Truman team a little bit. That maybe it was a little bit of a closer game than a lot of people expected for the first half. When I talked to Will Dogba after the game, he immediately gave credit, talked about how hard they played. So what did you think out of Truman and their ability to stay in the game for that first half?
Yeah, I think they definitely did play hard. I think it's a given. I think they're a well-coached team. I'm friends with their head coach, and I know they're getting well coached, and they played their butts off. And they have that triple option offense, and if you don't do the right thing, they're gonna gash you and get yards. And a few times they caught us not doing the right thing, and they were taking advantage of it.
That was something that my broadcast partner Cliff Jackson and I were talking a little bit on the broadcast on Friday about how there were some times where they had a successful play here, they had the kickoff return, but it always seemed like you were able to adjust back, and then the next time seeing a similar situation, you were able to handle it the way that you probably wanted to the first time. How is it with coaching on the sidelines there and handling, looking forward for the rest of the game and taking a focus on those plays that, hey, we were beat on this, here's how we need to beat it next time?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the beginning of the week, they're coached on how to take the plays away, but sometimes during the course of a game, kid's out there and he might lose focus for a little bit, and those times where you lose focus, they're going to gas you. So it's the coach's job just to kind of make sure you get refocused real quick. And it kind of goes with experience, but we need to get experience quick because we have a couple good teams coming up.
All right, Neshaminy, a big win over Truman, 5-0, and they do have a couple of good teams coming up to play. We'll talk about 2-2 Abington, who they will take on this coming week right here at Heartbreak Ridge. So we'll step aside with the Steve Wilmot Show. Back with more after this.
ER Express is the newest online reservation system for patients in Bucks County with non-life-threatening illnesses or conditions to reserve a time online to be treated at ARIA's Fast Care, Urgent Care, or emergency departments. ER Express streamlines evaluations so patients are treated more quickly, and best of all, it holds your reservation while you're in the comfort of your own home. Please remember, patients who experience major injuries and traumas should always go immediately to the emergency department. Reserve your spot online now with ER Express. Visit ariahealth.org/ER-Express. That's ariahealth.org/ER-Express.
If you are looking for a new car, where do you go? Faulkner Auto Group at 4427 Street Road in Trevose is where to go. For the best deals in Bucks County for all of your new or pre-owned cars, trucks, or SUVs, go to Faulkner Auto Group. It is always Faulkner to be sure. You can also always go to www.faulknerautogroup.com. Just remember, this year it's Faulkner Auto Group for your new car or truck. 4427 Street Road in Trevose to be sure. Faulkner Auto Group, 215-364-7720. Faulkner Auto Group, a proud supporter of Neshaminy High School football.
Princeton University football is back, starting on Saturday, September 17th, when the Tigers take on Lafayette at 5 p.m. at beautiful Princeton Stadium. It's also fireworks night, so bring the whole family for a day of fun at one of the nation's most beautiful on-campus football stadiums. The Tigers return both of their quarterbacks and have several returning defensive players. Single game tickets are just $10, and season tickets for all 5 home games just $40. This year, the Tigers' home schedule includes rivals Penn and Harvard, plus Brown and Cornell, and the opener on September 17th at 5 p.m. is against Lafayette, followed by fireworks night. To order and for more ticket information, go to GoPrincetonTigers.com. That's GoPrincetonTigers.com.
Sandy's Beef and Ale has been serving famous hand-carved roast beef sandwiches since 1967. Sandy's Beef and Ale is located in the Woodburn Square Shopping Center next to the Oxford Valley Mall. Stop in anytime for not only the roast beef sandwiches, but also the patty, the tailgater, and the Cuban. Family and friends have been coming to Sandy's Beef and Ale since 1967. 2028 Old Lincoln Highway, the home of the hand-carved sandwich.
Welcome back to the Steve Wilmot Show. The Neshaminy Redskins head coach Steve Wilmot. I'm Sean Lerman. As we come back, this week's show brought to you by ARIA Health and Faulkner Auto Group. And want to make a quick correction, Abington 3-2 on the season, not 2-2. They've got 3 wins, so Abington off to a pretty good start. This is a team that's had some ups and downs over the last few years, but this season seems to be playing pretty well. What do you expect to see out of their offense?
Out of their offense, I think they have weapons. It's going to be a tough offense to stop. They want to run off tackle power. I think their running back is very good. I think their linemen are good. They have these big bruising fullback type guys. So they're going to kind of heavy up in the backfield with 2 fullbacks, and then they kind of, I think they really want to establish the off tackle power game. They have a very good wideout, George Reed. And so it's it's going to be a challenge, kind of because they're going to want to power the ball up there. Then they have that guy kind of flanked out, and if you get sleeping on him, he's going to be able to catch a long pass. So they have a good offense. They have a lot of good players, and they play very hard.
So is that something that it puts a little bit more pressure on the linebackers, the defensive line, or the secondary, would you say?
All three. I mean, they want to balance the field. If you try to take away something, then they're going to go to a different department. Again, they have very talented players, and we're going to have to be on point to stop them.
Now let's talk about their defense a little bit. What do you expect to see? What's their base set?
Their base set, I think in the end, I think the first day of defensive practice, I think they line up in a 3-4 style defense, kind of like Downingtown West did, but very rarely do they sit in the same defense for 2 downs in a row. Very rarely do they sit in that 3-4 where they're covering the center. A lot of times they're walking one of those outside linebackers up and shifting the line. Again, they have 2 really good safeties. They have a good secondary in general. And their linebackers are pretty good too. And their defensive line plays hard. So, things aren't going to be easy on Friday night. That's for sure.
No, certainly not. Should be a good game over at over at Heartbreak Ridge against Abington. Abington, who had that big win over Council Rock South, 35-31, and they're off to a pretty good start this season. In fact, I think that there's a lot of parity among some of the teams in the league this year. I think there are a lot of teams sort of clumped together, and you're going to be going up against an Abington team that's going to have an opportunity to bring themselves up above the rest a little bit. So I imagine you expect them to be playing pretty hard on Friday night.
Just like I expect Truman to play their best game against us, and they probably did. I expect to see Abington's best shot. Abington's dangerous, and we're really gonna have to have our act together to be successful.
All right, so Abington on Friday night will have the Trentonian pregame show at 6:45. You can also watch every Neshaminy game this season live at Sandy's Beef and Ale, brought to you by Faulkner Auto Group. And Coach, before we get going here, it's something that I always think is important to talk about every few weeks, the assistant coaches and their contributions to the team. I think that it's an amazing coaching staff that you have here, a lot of continuity over the years, and that's got to be huge for the players.
Yeah, our coaching staff is great. They're like a family in all reality. We have our younger coaching staff who we try to mentor, and then we have the guys who have been here for a while. Ray Jones has been here since 1999, and Jay Wideball, him and I started as assistants together in 1995, and I can't begin to tell you all the great things that Neil does for the football team and for the kids in general. Right across the board, Coach Ferreira, and Kevin Kelly, who's got a ton of experience being head coach at Conwell-Egan, and Ben Salem. It's just a real quality staff, and like I said, it's like a family. We all work together to just get the job done.
All right, Coach. Well, thank you very much. This is the Steve Wilmot Show, presented by Aria Health and Faulkner Auto Group. Again, 6:45. We'll go live with the video stream on WBCB1490.com, or watch it live at Sandy's Beef and Ale. So until next week, have a good one.